I can honestly say that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the education I received at St. Joseph's High School from 1992 through 1996. Some of the best years of my life, world-class education, a religious foundation, and some of the best teachers, some of the best role models, and some of the best friends that I still have to this day. And my journey here to St. Joseph High School almost didn't take place because where I was raised here on the northwest side of South Bend, Indiana, growing up, it was a LaSalle Lion household, and I'm the youngest of 5 boys, and my 4 older brothers all graduated in the 1980s from LaSalle High School. And being a graduate of Holy Cross Grade School, we have a lot of Crusader pride, and my group of friends, as we went through Holy Cross and being a 3-sport athlete there, we were really good in football. And from 5th through 8th grade, we only lost 1 game, and that was in 5th grade. We're still upset about that, but nevertheless, after we won the Diocese Championship in 1991 for the 2nd year in a row, after that game, and I was talking with my parents, and I knew I was part of something really special, because at that time it was all about going to LaSalle after that. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to stay with my friends, Ben Downey and Jeremy Rimble and Sean Waite, Jamal Cole and Dan Luther, but those guys that I grew up with and went through Holy Cross, I wanted to stay with them, and they were all going to St. Joe. So I went and talked to my mom, and I said, "Mom, I don't want to break your heart, but I think I want to go to St. Joe." And she was like, "What? You want to go to St. Joe?" I was like, "Mom, I don't want to leave my friends. I think we have something special going. I want to go to St. Joe." She was like, "Well, you got to go talk to your dad." So I went and talked to my dad about it. I said, "Dad, I think I want to go to St. Joe." And my dad said, "Well, let me see what I can do." And that winter I went and took the placement exam. And that summer I was coming up here, starting to prepare to enroll to be a freshman at St. Joseph's High School, and it changed my life forever.
So talk to me a little bit more about, because one, so you're here, you're at St. Joe, you want to keep going. What did it feel like walking through the halls, like you're at another higher level school? Talk about the community at St. Joe when you got there as a freshman, like interaction with upperclassmen, with your classmates, with the teachers. What was it like kind of those first few days at St. Joe? Did you know you made the right decision when you were there?
When I arrived at St. Joe, it was, you knew you were at a special place. Not only just the tradition, St. Joe has a rich tradition, and not just as a school, a proud academic institution, but also just the athletic excellence as well. I was looking to utilize the education to pave the way to help me go and pursue higher education and play sports. And being a member of the football team, playing for the great coach Frank Amato, and some of those great assistant coaches that were also great role models, such as Andy Stratty and Mike Sullivan and John Schweikert and many others. And then the basketball team at that time. That year they went to the Final Four, and you had guys like Chris Quinn and Pete Miller and Marty Harshman. It was just, it was a cool place to be. I mean, we were just, we were rolling people up, man. And you went to the football games, you went to the basketball games, our girls soccer team, they were doing big things, our cross country team, we were sending people to state. So you just knew that you wanted to leave your mark.
I had a really strong academic experience at St. Joe. I thought that all of our classes were extremely rigorous, and as I went on into college and other areas of life, I really saw myself and my peers excel, which I think was definitely a result of St. Joe. One thing I loved was that the teachers really went above and beyond to get to know us as people and as students, And so they had great relationships with us that allowed them to push us further than we thought we might be capable of, and also in ways that they knew we needed. And as I look back now, having worked in education, it's actually quite rare that teachers know their students that well and are willing to go above and beyond to push them. And I really felt like our teachers did that here. And then also were there to, again, kind of help us, like, what's the word? Lick our bruises, lick our cuts, whatever. Like when we did something that was harder than we thought. And when we didn't necessarily get the A+ on the test, they were like, well, it's because you need to work on this. And I think that process really helped me grow. Oh, the writing here was really strong. And I think that that extended not only from our English classes, but also into theology and history and all the different classes we had. I think that the classes were structured, honestly, like a lot of my liberal arts classes in college. And they encouraged us to ask questions and to formulate an argument to defend a position. And I went on to study philosophy at Notre Dame, which I loved. And I do think it was because throughout high school, if I wanted to make a point, which I often did, I really had to back it up and I had to provide evidence and make sure it was really clear cut. And our teachers really pushed us on that, and I loved it. Well, I have a lot of great memories from St. Joe, which is something that I actually think is unique, because a lot of people don't come out thinking that they had such a great high school experience. But I think St. Joe really offers a sort of quintessential high school experience in that you're really encouraged to try new things and meet new people. The community is small enough that you really feel like it's homey and people know who you are, but it's also big enough that you can take chances and meet new people and try different things. So one of my favorite memories actually was doing the musical as a junior, which if you know me, you know I don't have much of a singing voice. But I had a few friends who were doing it and I thought it would be a fun change, and that experience was so great because it was a whole new community that just welcomed me with open arms. We had an absolute blast. I think I sang the Notre Dame fight song for my audition, but I really learned a lot about just trying new things and breaking out into new groups. And so that was a great experience for me. I think some other things that made St. Joe for me were definitely the sports, and spending all that time with teams. I think not only strengthens you for all of the reasons that sports typically do, but it really strengthens our community as well, because even to this day, one of my best friends was a senior on my cross country team when I was a freshman. And we formed those relationships and share so many memories together. So I love that St. Joe offered a really strong academic experience, but also that whole range of extracurriculars that I think made me a more balanced person, and really set me up then for the rest of my life to value community, and to value the people that I was with, on top of also some of the academic experiences I was having.
What was unique about the St. Joe experience for me is really the introduction to diversity. And I don't necessarily mean diversity in a traditional sense, but diversity in thought. I was raised on the northwest side of South Bend, and I come from a community where the majority of people that I was around looked like me. And when I came to St. Joe, and when I walked in those doors for the first time with some of my classmates that I went to grade school with, who I was familiar with, it was evident that I was around people that grew up in not only different socioeconomic conditions than I did, but quite honestly had different approaches to life, different views on life than I did as well. The opportunities to be in a classroom setting with them, the opportunities to learn with them, play on the same athletic teams, and to get to know people that are different from you is something that I believe gets lost sometimes. And to become tolerant, to become accepting, and become willing to grow as a person was something that helped prepare me and made me even more ready for the life that I've had moving forward. So that couldn't have happened without the experience I had here at St. Joe. And it was just that opportunity for the diversity in thought. And that, again, helped prepare me to take that next step. St. Joe students are ready because we continue to focus on the task at hand, what's in front of us. We will always pursue greatness, excellence, and at the end of the day, we want to be 1-0. We want to win the day, we want to win the week, we want to win the year.
That's a great question, and I think that St. Joe prepared me for, so I went to Notre Dame undergrad, I just completed my MBA at Oxford, and I'm working for McKinsey now, and I think that at all of those phases I have felt extremely prepared, and I think a lot of that foundation does come from elementary school and high school. St. Joe in particular, I think, really pushed me to be a good writer, and my teachers were, you know, we wrote a lot, and there was a high standard for it, and we were accustomed to writing about even like our physics projects, or writing about, you know, in math we would have essays and things like that, and writing to this day I think is one of my strong skills, and I get a lot of feedback about that from employers and academic peers. So I think definitely academically writing is what stands out to me, but we also definitely had a culture here of reading, which I love, and I'm still a big reader, and I think that kind of sets the tone for everything else. So those two things definitely stand out. It's a rigorous experience. So I was always in a lot of honors and AP classes, and I look back at high school, I worked really hard, and I think the experience of working really hard in high school prepared me then to be really organized in college, and throughout other times of my life where I've had to just have my priorities straight, so that I could then enjoy some of these other things. Like in high school it was sports, and as it's gone on it's been things that are less fun than sports, to be honest. Yeah. I think that throughout my time at St. Joe, I always felt empowered to try new things or to ask questions, because it was a place where doing different things was normalized, and where the teachers and even your peers were just excited for you to try something different. You know, I always think about like this is maybe a stupid example, but like High School Musical, where everyone's like up in arms that Zac Efron has joined the basketball team, or the theater, and it's like that would never happen at St. Joe, because people were like, oh, that's really cool that you're trying something different. And I think that I'm sure there was so much that happened behind the scenes from the administration to make that culture that we as students had absolutely no idea about. But I just think that for us as students, we would have just felt like jerks if we had been anything other than accepting and like excited for our peers who were trying new things. And one other story that I love about St. Joe was I remember my sophomore year, I only had one other good friend who was in my lunch period, which, you know, as we know, high school is very, very emotional experience. But I ended up sharing a lunch table there was someone at every grade represented at this lunch table, like seniors through freshmen. It was sort of an eclectic group of some of my older brother's friends and people I'd met through sports and whatever. And we had an absolute blast. And I remember it was a spring semester, so at the end of it, we were all basically in tears for these seniors to graduate that we had not even known before. But I think St. Joe is the kind of place where no one lets you sit alone at lunch. And no one would ever turn you down from sitting at their table. And those are the kinds of things that are just a part of the culture that I think make it a really special place.
Family is huge when you're an alumni here at St. Joe. When you're a student here at St. Joe, family is everything. When I came here as a freshman, from the time I left here as a senior, I consider this an extension of my family. The relationships that you build here and the compassion that the teachers show, and it prepares you. You're ready. You're truly ready when you leave here, and you truly don't appreciate just how well you're prepared to take that next step until you get to that higher education. And when I left here, I was very fortunate. St. Joe prepared me, and I received a full ride scholarship, football scholarship to Indiana State University when I left here, and college was easy compared to St. Joe High School. And as an educator for 20 years now myself, oftentimes you talk about, well, this school is better than that school. Curriculum is curriculum. However, I would say the difference between how St. Joe prepares you compared to other schools is that the teachers here and the administrators, they hold you accountable. They're going to make, and they care. They're going to make sure that they bring your very best out, and they treat all the kids the same way. They expect your very best every day you walk into that classroom, and that's what helped take me to the next level as a student. So when I, again, got to the collegiate level, whether it was what my professors expected from me or what my coaches expected from me, I was just overly prepared. And again, I can honestly say I wouldn't be where I am today as a professional, as someone that not only received their bachelor's degree in education, but also a master's in educational administration, as well as more advanced degrees, 4 to be exact. That all started with the education I received in the hallways at St. Joseph's High School. Looking back, my St. Joe experience in looking at who I was as a 14-year-old kid that entered this high school for the first time in 1992, and the 18-year-old that I was when I left here in the spring of 1996, I was a completely different person. And the reason I was a completely different person was because of the adults in this building that shaped and molded me, that instilled the spiritual, the values of discipline, hard work, perseverance, the values of service, and to go out and make a difference in this world. And I wasn't that person when I first arrived here. I was someone with my classmates that just wanted to make a contribution in athletics. But I left as someone that wanted to make a contribution in this society. And I thank St. Joe for instilling that in all of us. So, again, when you look at the amount of successful people that this high school has produced, when you look at the number of educators that this school has produced, just in my class alone, the number of teachers, the number of coaches, the number of doctors, the number of lawyers, the number of professional people that have moved on, and they have shaped and molded kids, people. They've inspired people, just like they did for us 25 years ago. Again, that's what makes St. Joe different from any other high school on the planet.
We are St. Joe because we are a place that encourages you to step outside of your comfort zone, and is also there to catch you when you fall. And I think that's one of the most valuable parts of St. Joe, is that it really does challenge you, and the teachers and the administrators and even your peers really do encourage you to do things that are different and beyond what you think you're capable of. But you always know that if something kind of goes wrong in that, you have a community that's going to love you anyway, and I think that's really special.